The last thing I wanted was to be stranded with him, especially when the storm outside felt easier to endure than the storm inside my chest. But life has a cruel sense of humor. It knew exactly who to trap me with when the roads flooded and the cabin door locked shut. Ethan. He was the one person I had spent years pretending not to want, not to watch when he wasn't looking, not to dream about when my guard slipped. And now he was standing 3 feet away, shaking off his wet jacket, eyes flicking toward me like he could read every secret I thought I buried deep enough. The rain pounded so violently on the roof it almost drowned out the sound of my heartbeat. But not quite. My pulse was too loud, too frantic. I told myself it was just the weather, just adrenaline, but then Ethan smirked, like he knew better. "Looks like we're stuck here for the night," he said, his voice low and maddeningly calm. I turned away, pretending to busy myself with stacking the firewood in the corner. "Yeah, well, don't make yourself too comfortable." But I heard him move closer, felt it even. His presence filled the small space, warm and electric. That was always the problem with Ethan, didn't need to touch me to unravel me. "You always get like this when it's just us," he murmured. I froze, firewood in my hands, my chest tight. "Like what?" "Guarded. Defensive. Like you're scared of something." His tone was teasing, but softer than I expected. Scared. If only he knew. I wasn't afraid of the storm, or the creaking roof beams, or the thought of being cut off from the world until the floodwaters went down. And I was afraid of him seeing me, really seeing me, because I was convinced he already had. The fire crackled as I finally got it going, flames throwing shadows across the cabin walls. Ethan sat on the worn couch, leaning back, watching me like I was the only thing worth noticing. "You're staring," I snapped, but my voice shook. "Yeah," he admitted, completely unbothered. "I've been staring at you for years. You just never let yourself catch me." The words landed like lightning, splitting through me, leaving no place to hide. I laughed, a sharp, hollow sound meant to cover up the ache inside. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" His eyes softened, almost challenging. "You think I don't notice how you look away when I stand too close? Or how you find a reason to leave whenever I get personal? You've been running from me since we were kids." The cabin suddenly felt too small, the storm too loud, his gaze too much. I wanted to deny it. God, I wanted to keep denying it. But my throat burned with truths I couldn't keep down anymore. "You don't get it, Ethan?" I said quietly, staring into the fire because I couldn't bear to face him. "It's not that simple." "Then explain it to me." His voice wasn't demanding, it was patient, steady, like he actually wanted to hear the answer, no matter how ugly it was. But the truth terrified me. It always had. Loving Ethan meant risking everything: our friendship, the years we had built, the fragile image I had fought to protect. I thought if I kept it locked inside, the feelings would die out. Instead, they grew, restless and impossible, like the storm hammering at the cabin walls. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, waiting. And I hated him for it, for being so calm while I was unraveling. "You wouldn't understand," I whispered. "Try me." The fire hissed, thunder cracked, and for one dangerous second, I thought about telling him. Really telling him. But the fear clawed its way back, choking me silent. I stood abruptly, pacing to the other side of the cabin, needing distance. "Just drop it, okay?" He sighed, but I heard something else underneath it. Hurt and guilt sank heavy in my chest. "You're not the only one hiding things," Ethan said softly. I turned then, eyes narrowing. "What's that supposed to mean?" His gaze locked on mine, steady and unflinching. "It means you're not the only one who's been scared." For a moment, I forgot to breathe. The words twisted through me, rewrote everything I thought I knew. Could it be? No, I couldn't let myself hope. Lightning lit up the room, and for that instant, I saw raw, undeniable honesty in his eyes. He wasn't playing, wasn't teasing. He meant it. And suddenly the storm outside wasn't the only thing breaking me open. When the power flickered and went out completely, the cabin sank into shadows lit only by firelight. The silence between us felt even louder than the storm. I sat down slowly, across from him, the weight of his words pressing against every wall I had built. "Say it," I whispered, almost daring him. Ethan's jaw tightened, his throat working like he was wrestling with the truth. "And then, I've been in love with you for as long as I can remember." The words shattered something inside me, something I thought was unbreakable. My chest burned, my hands shook, and suddenly the air in the cabin was impossible to breathe. I wanted to scream, to laugh, to cry, to tell him he was cruel for saying it now, when we were trapped, when escape wasn't an option. But more than anything, I wanted to reach across the space between us and touch him just to see if this was real. My lips parted, but nothing came out. "Say something," he urged, his voice breaking in the quiet. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time I didn't see the boy I was afraid to want. I saw the man who had been waiting for me all this time, and it terrified me more than the storm ever could. My throat tightened until I thought the words would never come out. Every instinct screamed at me to keep it buried, to keep us safe in the fragile comfort of just friends. But the storm outside roared like it was demanding a confession, rattling the windows as if daring me to lie one more time. "I can't," I said, barely more than a whisper. His face fell. I saw it flicker of disappointment, the retreat behind his eyes. And the sight gutted me, because it wasn't the truth. It wasn't that I couldn't. It was that I was terrified of what would happen if I did. The silence stretched, sharp and heavy. Ethan leaned back, running a hand through his wet hair, looking away for the first time all night. That broke me more than anything. I stood, crossing the room before I even thought about it. My hand brushed his shoulder, and he froze. "Wait," I said, my voice cracking. I didn't mean I don't feel the same." Slowly, he turned back toward me, confusion and hope tangled in his expression. "Then what did you mean?" he asked. "That I don't know how to stop being afraid," I admitted, my chest heaving. "Afraid of ruining us, of losing you if we," my words stumbled, tangled in the fear I'd carried for so long. Ethan didn't hesitate. He reached up and grabbed my wrist, holding it firm against his chest, over his heartbeat. "Then let me be the one thing you're not afraid of." I felt it then, the steady rhythm of his pulse beneath my hand, strong and certain. And for the first time, the idea of falling didn't feel like the end. Felt like landing. I don't remember who leaned in first. Maybe it didn't matter. 1 second we were staring, teetering on the edge of every unspoken word, and the next his lips were on mine, warm, desperate, real. The kiss was nothing like I imagined. It wasn't polished or perfect. It was raw, a little clumsy, like years of restraint finally shattering in one violent rush. My hands tangled in his damp shirt, his fingers cupped the back of my neck, and suddenly the storm outside was nothing compared to the storm inside us. When we broke apart, gasping, Ethan rested his forehead against mine. "I've waited so long to do that," he said, breathless. I laughed through the tears I hadn't realized were slipping down my face. "Guess we're both idiots." "Yeah," he agreed, grinning. "But at least we're idiots together now." We curled up near the fire, the heat of the flames nothing compared to the warmth between us. The storm kept raging, but inside the cabin, it felt like we had created our own world, quiet, fragile, and finally honest. Hours slipped by in murmured confessions, laughter that shook free from old wounds, and silences that weren't heavy anymore. We talked about the nights I'd walked away from him, the glances I thought went unnoticed, the way he'd always known but never pushed me too far. And with every word, the weight I carried lifted, replaced with something terrifyingly simple: hope. When dawn finally crept in, soft light spilling through the cracked windows, the storm had passed. The air smelled of wet earth and new beginnings. Ethan stirred beside me, his arms still slung around my waist, his breathing steady. For a moment, I just watched him, messy hair, tired eyes, the faintest smile curving his lips even in sleep, and I thought maybe this was how it was always supposed to be. I pressed a kiss to his temple before whispering, I'm not running anymore. His eyes fluttered open, sleepy but shining. Good, he murmured, pulling me closer. Because I'm not letting you. We laughed softly, the sound blending with the quiet drip of rain outside. And just like that, the fear that once defined me felt smaller, weaker, no match for the way his hand fit perfectly in mine. The storm had trapped us, yes, but maybe that was the point. Maybe we needed to be broken open, forced to face the truths we'd been too afraid to touch. Because in the end, the storm didn't destroy us. It gave us the courage to finally be who we were all along. And as the sun climbed higher, painting gold across the soaked fields beyond the cabin, I realized something I should have known from the start. Sometimes love doesn't wait for the right moment. Sometimes it waits for the storm. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.